Into the mind of Dan and Dave, into the mind of Dan and Dave, into the mind of Dan and Dave, into the mind of... Here we go. Into the mind of Dan and Dave, into the mind of Dan and Dave, into the mind of... Here we go. To the mind of Dan and Dave, into the mind of Dan and Dave, into the mind...
Welcome to the Dan and Dave Mindset. My name's Dan.
How you doing? I'm Dave.
So, Dave, what's on your mind, Grapes?
Actually, I saw this thing, this article or whatever, or a news feed, whatever, that there's going to be another Rocky. Rocky, I don't know, 10, 12, whatever.
Uh-huh.
It's like when do you like?
When's enough enough?
Yeah, some sequels are good. Like Rocky 2 was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was good. I mean, you sat there, you lost the first one. The second one, you got up there, and it was a rough fight and stuff like that, and you won and all that other kind of stuff. But then there was Rocky 3, 4,
3 and 4
5.
were still okay. 5
No,
was bad.
I disagree.
Okay, but none of them were as bad as Rocky 5. Rocky 5 with Tommy Gunn.
Yeah, he died, by the way.
Did he?
Yeah, he's like 40 years old. Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah.
But what was that? That was 5 or 4?
That was 5.
Yeah, 4 was horrible.
With
the
Dolph
Russian
Lundgren?
thing.
I don't know. I mean, I was a kid when I watched it.
Yeah,
So.
it's a personal thing. I just hate it. And Brian Wozny, I know, disagrees because he loves it. It was horrible. And because Apollo gets basically beaten to death in the ring.
Yeah. Well, he's being all Apollo Creed and all cocky and everything. He had it coming.
All right, then. Anyway, so now there's another one. Rocky...
So wait, hold on. There was 4, 5 with Tommy Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Rocky Balboa, which would be the 6th one, right?
So 7.
So this is the 7th one.
7.
Or was there another movie just called Rocky too?
There was Rocky, the first one.
Wasn't there another one just called Rocky?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There was Rocky, the first one.
Yeah.
Apollo
Was it
gave him a break, saying,
Yeah.
"Well, just schmo fight me." And
Yeah.
anyway,
And
so
then
now
there
this,
ain't gonna be no rematch.
that's
Doesn't
right.
he beat
Ain't
him
gonna
at
be
the
right.
end?
Ain't gonna be.
He
Yeah.
does beat him, doesn't he, at the end?
Of 1 or 2?
Of 1.
No,
Well, when's the one where he's saying ain't gonna be no rematch?
that's 1.
Because that's Apollo Creed saying that.
That's 1. But it was a decision. It wasn't a knockout.
Oh, that was a subtlety of boxing that I didn't understand, I guess.
I mean, so many punches and all that kind of stuff that they count.
Right. It's points and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, but he basically beat the crap out of Apollo.
Yeah. But,
Broke his ribs, all this other kind of stuff, and whatever. He's like, yeah, that ain't gonna be no rematch. Anyway,
gotcha.
so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 now. It's gonna be a Rocky training. Not Apollo, not Apollo's son, Apollo's grandson.
What?
For a
Played
fight.
by
Chris Rock.
I was gonna say Will Smith's son.
You know what? I can see that happening.
Yeah. Jaden Smith,
Right.
right?
I can see that happening, actually.
Yeah. I mean, he was the Karate Kid. Now he can be Rocky's.
He was
protege.
actually a good Karate Kid.
I still
I
haven't
was
seen
surprised. I mean, 'cause I'm like an old school kind of guy. I don't like seeing things being remade that are like classics. And
Yeah,
unfortunately, to look at Karate Kid as a classic makes me sad. But it is. I mean, it was horrible acting by Ralph Macchio, but it was a great movie.
Well, I mean, to be
So-
fair, Ralph Macchio is not a great actor.
That's what I'm saying. So to sit there and like think, like, I remember hearing about how it was going to be redone.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, to have it redone bothered me. Just because it's one of those movies, like, why are you going to redo that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a staple in,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, in film.
Yeah.
And then I watched it, and it was actually really, really good.
Yeah. Well, I
He
heard
did-
they addressed the whole.
He
Jackie...
did a really good job.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Well, I heard they addressed the whole thing, him being Chinese and karate
Right.
being Japanese.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, as a partial Chinese person, I always appreciate those sorts of clarifications.
I mean, it was really. I mean, I liked it.
Yeah,
It was pretty good, and they didn't like.
it's not like they just remade the movie. It's a whole
No,
new story.
they didn't like sit there and take it like for.
Was it basically the same story? I mean, is it a remake or is it just a whole new storyline from scratch?
Basically the same movie.
Okay.
I mean, they they tweaked it here and there.
Is
or
there
whatever,
a Cobra
but-
Kai thing going on somewhere?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you got beat up and blah blah blah. Jackie Chan was there. It was like, hey,
He's wearing a shower curtain later.
that's right, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was done a lot better, I thought.
Interesting. So I'd have a hard time because Daniel LaRusso, he was as a young brown kid,
Brown.
he was someone to look up to. So there's a little brown kid that's making it work for him.
But then you have like,
You giving me nothing? Okay, thanks.
but then you have like movies that work, like Aliens. Or, I mean, can you think of any like that, like are good?
Like multiple.
Yeah, like the whole trilogy, and then there's Beyond trilogy, like Boondock Saints. I love that movie so much.
Yeah, first one's great.
And it took 10 years for Boondock Saints 2 to come out.
It was a big pile of crap.
And I'm like, I blame that on the director.
Yeah.
Because he's such a moron. He's so arrogant, such a moron.
Yeah. Well, somehow he magically pulled a really good movie out of nowhere his first time out, or his first major time out. And
Well, he didn't. I mean, who wrote that?
he did.
He wrote that?
Yeah. Troy Duffy, I think.
That
his
I
name is.
didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure he wrote and directed the first movie.
Uh-huh.
And he went on this huge ego trip for 10 years talking about how great he was.
Like, he wrote that? That's what
I guess that's all I can think of is how he thinks he's so great, and
But-
like pissing off every studio in town because they're like, oh, because he's like, you guys got to have me, and they're like, well, we don't like you.
All right, so I mean, more about like directors and producers and stuff like that. So, other than that, did he do anything
And not that I'm
outside
aware
of
of.
Boondock Saints? So for 10 years he.
That's the impression that I get. I don't think he's done anything else because nobody wanted to work with him because he's a giant jerk. I guess he's like really, like, he's a jerk.
Yeah, I looked up. I wanted to look up like outtakes, like just put an outtake on like on my Facebook or whatever, and they had this thing like behind the scenes and all this other kind of stuff, and I'm assuming it was him. And he was basically sit there and he's like, yeah, so this is not legitimate. This is just like a casting call kind of thing. And I don't shoot in black because it was in black and white. He's like, I don't shoot in black and white. He's like, but we had to shoot this. He's like, and by the way, this is on my dime. And he was very arrogant the way he put it. And I was like, click. I don't even want to look at it now.
Yeah.
Seriously, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't even want to listen to you anymore. I mean,
From the sounds of things, you're not the first person to be turned off by having to listen to him talk for a couple
yeah.
of minutes.
But that movie was so good.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I think it had a lot to do with probably, I would guess it had a lot to do with his lack of being known and everything. He probably, didn't feel the need to be as controlling, I'm guessing. Because based on the differences in the quality of those two movies, I think his actors must have been more in charge of themselves and things like that. Then, I don't know. And in the second one, somehow, it just, because it went from so good to so bad,
Right.
I feel like, and it was consistently bad throughout the second movie. Like, everything about it was horrible. Like, I feel like it had to have something to do with him just doing a bad job. And from the things I heard of him, I feel like he probably became a massive control freak because he thinks he's a genius. And,
He looked like that in the beginning. I mean, from that, like I said, from that
yeah.
one interview, I was like, wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know like no studios want to work like that. The reason it took forever to get it made is nobody wanted to work with him.
Wow, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, take somebody like Val Kilmer. I guess is real hard to be on a set with, but he's good.
Yeah.
So he gets more work eventually, and it's not been working out for him so good for a while now. But you know,
I know. It's like, do you realize you're getting paid? You know you're getting money for this, right?
yeah,
And especially like Hollywood. I shouldn't say Hollywood today, but Hollywood whenever, you're very easily replaceable.
yeah, that's still true.
Especially, I mean, today, I mean, directors are a dime a dozen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of them suck, but some of them are really good.
Yeah, well, really good directors are not a dime a dozen. I don't think. But yeah, there's a ton of them out there working, and you can pretty much pick and choose, and you're good. Then again, speaking of, there's directors like Bryan Singer, who did a great movie with The Usual Suspects.
That movie's awesome.
That movie is amazing. I have not liked anything else he's done.
Huh.
And yet...
Well, I'm going to leave that to writing. I mean, you step into a movie where the writing or the screenplay or whatever is crap.
Well, maybe. And maybe, well, in that case, then maybe I'll just give the writing the credit for The Usual Suspects.
Well, I mean...
I don't know.
No. I mean, but like you were saying before, like the directors being a dime a dozen. Or I said that and you corrected.
said directors are a dime a dozen.
Right, and you corrected me, and that's, I mean, I'm
Well, I didn't, I was just quantifying.
Right. I mean, but there's like stuff out there, it's like directors know how to pick a movie. Good directors know how to pick a movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Bryan Singer's things are, the X-Men movies, the Superman Returns and stuff like that, and like, he got really involved in the writing process with those ones, and like has his like pet team of writers that he has do the final versions of all the scripts that he approves of and thinks they're great, apparently, because he's having them made that way, and they're just bad. But a lot of people really like what he does, and I don't get it. Like the best X-Men movie so far was in my opinion the First Class movie, which he was not involved in. And actually, I think, I could be wrong, I might get, because I get mixed up a little bit, but the guy that directed X-Men 3, which I liked for, whatever. A lot of people don't like that one. I found it just purely entertaining, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not trying to say it was a good movie or anything like that, but it was more entertaining and not boring like X-Men 1 and 2.
So you didn't get hooked on the whole, like, legitimacy of it and all that kind of stuff?
No.
Like a lot of people do? Like, as far as, like, comic...
Oh, no, yeah. No,
that's not what it is. That's not...
Yeah. As somebody who has had years and years of experience as a comic book reader, I learned early on with comic book movies that you can't get worked up about that stuff, or you won't enjoy any comic book movie, because none of them are going to be accurate.
Or anything. I mean, there's like Lord of the Rings, Hunger Games, stuff like that. People are like, that's not like the book. I'm like, it's not the book.
Yeah, like, is this the first adaptation
I know,
you've ever seen?
Do you realize this is not... I mean, you have to, like... A book, you depending on who you are, like, you could read a book within a week or months.
Yeah.
Depending on... There's a lot of information in that book, a lot of details.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to sit there and complain because they have to shove all these details into, these days, an hour and a half?
Oh, yeah. Well, like, I was, when I was listening to a lot of audiobooks, right, most of them were anywhere from... Most of them ran just somebody reading the book.
Right.
And they're like minimum 8 hours to 12 to 15 hours.
Right.
So let's call it 12 hours of information.
Yeah.
And if you want to make a 2.5 hour long movie, or better yet, an hour and a half long movie.
I mean, I was the Hunger Games. I mean, I like the Hunger Games movie was really. I mean, I saw the Hunger Games before I read the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I get when people say the book is so much better. That's fine. I get it because there's more details in there. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But don't sit there and say the movie sucks because
I didn't think the movie sucked for any reason related to the book. I didn't think the movie sucked either. I didn't think it was a very good movie, but just because
Hunger Games, you mean?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What did I say?
You didn't.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I just. it just seemed like very, and like a lot of adaptations these days, actually, like it wasn't so much about making a story like a cohesive storyline along with the source material that they had.
Right.
But it was more like making sure they hit all the big points of the book, and
They didn't though.
right. But okay, like hit like X amount of big points from the book, and it's like the little girl dying in the movie.
Oh right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so for anybody who hasn't seen the movie and you plan to watch it, you know, we're going to talk about it in detail for a second.
The African American girl dies.
And seconds over. Okay, no, but yeah, so, yeah, the little girl, Katniss ends up protecting her or whatever. Can't believe I just said that name in a podcast. Feel weird. They form a little bond or whatever. And in the book, it's really touching how it all happens and everything.
Yeah.
In the movie, it's like that little girl, we'd never seen her anywhere before, maybe in the background, nowhere. All of a sudden, there's like stuff like plunged together for like 5 minutes, and then she gets killed, and Katniss is all upset, and you're supposed to feel bad.
Right.
And like, I didn't. I felt bad when it happened in the book.
Right.
When I watched the movie, I mean, maybe it was. Did you feel bad when it happened in the movie?
I can't say. I mean, I was indifferent.
Indifferent, yeah.
'Cause I don't know who she was.
Exactly.
She was hiding in a tree, and that was it.
Character development, and I've said this for years, in adaptations especially, has been just.
I'm a very big character development kind of. I mean, I need that. I need character development to like.
That's what this stuff's supposed to be.
Yeah. And I mean that's a huge like when I watch a movie and where I really get into a movie is if they have character development. And there's ways to work it in there. All you have to have is like this. Like all they had to have was for the scene you're talking about is background narration. Can you like tell me like it's a big thing for me, like the whole narration, like the beginning of a movie can give you so much if you just have somebody sit there and like
set the scene,
or even there, like I mean, there's times when like whoever is hiding in a tree or whatever like that, you know, have like the what do you call it, the monologue, the monologue in somebody's head going on,
inner monologue,
have so much more that would have made a difference to me. Reading the book,
it's like all inner monologue.
There's so much detail to that whole relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to necessarily advocate the idea that like all these movies that are lacking in the ability to pull off character development could just fix it with a little narration. But if you didn't want to figure out how to do it without that movie definitely could have benefited from it. Yeah, because there was nothing. Yeah, and without character development, you cannot care about what happens to these characters.
I agree.
It's like Saving Private Ryan.
Uh-huh.
All right, and I really think I only saw the movie one time in the theater. I've seen parts of it a couple of times since then, but I do remember when certain characters died or were attacked or injured in some way, it mattered to me. But there's hundreds of thousands, or there's thousands of people in that movie dying. Yeah. And you know which ones I didn't care about? The ones with no character development. Right. All the background guys, the extra people. Or the guy who was with the guy that I care about who gets shot right next to him. And then in that moment, even though somebody just lost their life, which should be something in real life would matter, even if you didn't know the person. But in a movie, I care more about like, oh, what does the guy who I've been watching and seeing him grow think about that? How does that make him feel? Yeah. Because they developed the character.
I agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. Like the only scene I saw recently in that movie was the one where Adam Goldberg, I think, is getting slowly stabbed by this one German or whatever. They're like he's like hiding. There's like him and another guy, and they're like hiding in this rubble, and these two German soldiers come up or whatever, and they attack him, and they kill like one of the American guys dies, and one of the German guys dies, and it's just down to those two, and the guy like gets his knife out, and they're like struggling with it, and at that point, I mean, Adam Goldberg's character had been developed well, and you knew him, you felt like you knew him, and like it was so slowly brutal. It was like heart-wrenching to watch.
Right.
Now, if that had happened with one of these no-name characters from the Hunger Games, it still would have been like a little bit intense because of the way it was shot or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that would have been it. And like honestly, even having read the books,
Which it actually did in the Hunger Games. Like these people, like the whole bee thing.
yeah,
When the bees came down and like were killing these people, you're like, I don't know who they are. Who cares?
right,
Not only that, but they were the bad guy.
yeah. With the
So
bad guy,
they're bad. So
yeah. Well,
who cares?
the only thing you get out of it is like, oh, good, more bad guys are
Right,
gone.
exactly.
That's all you get out of
That's
it.
messed up.
Yeah, but yeah, and honestly, even in the books, like the first book especially, like the only characters that I there was like 5 or 6 characters that I knew anything about by the end of that book still, and I listened to that book too, and like I kept losing track of who all these other like contestants were
Right.
because they all seemed the same to me, and what was it? I think the second book they got.
Shh.
Okay,
I
I'm
haven't
just
read
gonna.
it yet.
All right, I'm just gonna say, the author got a lot better about fleshing out the other characters because they all had distinct personalities,
Right.
and you could keep track of who was who a lot better. Even if because I can't remember 24 names, I go to like a party or something and meet,
Right.
20 people. I might remember one of their names anyway. And
I'm
I'm
going to
actually
party meet
interacting
2
with
people.
them.
I'm not going to remember their names.
Okay, well, it's fine.
I mean, I'm bad.
Any number of people, I might remember one. Because I'm bad at it too. So, I'll give her that. But I remember their personalities,
Right.
which is more like what it's like in real life.
Right.
For me.
Yeah.
I'm a big face and personality person. And I attach, like if I don't remember anything else about somebody, I file away the way they made me feel about them. And,
Interesting.
so I've got, like, people who, like, I can't remember anything specific about them, but I'll be like, oh, I like that person. Or like, oh, I don't like that guy. Because I'll have filed away. I don't want to use the word vibe, but for lack of a better
Right,
term, I'm going to say
right.
the vibe I got off of them
Right.
through whatever interaction I had.
That guy's a jerk.
Yeah,
I'm going to forget about him.
yeah. But I mean, I do.
No,
it
I
even with people
know
that
what
I'm
you're
not.
saying. I know what you're saying.
So I mean, that was the thing with me. Like, I don't know, but I will go ahead and bring this back to what I was saying about the X-Men. That movie did really well. Seemed like the first X-Men First Class did really well.
Is that the one without?
Yeah, it's like young Magneto and young.
All right, so it's without the original cast, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could never get into that movie. Either one.
Really?
The
Which
first one or any of them.
Any of the X-Men movies? Yeah. That one's it's a much more enjoyable movie.
There's well, going back to what you were saying before, there's so many characters in that. Like,
Yeah.
I feel lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not a comic guy, so I don't know the background of them or anything like that. So I have no background.
Yeah.
And it starts out like, how they start out. But still, there's like no character development there for me.
I think that's probably the mistake that these movies make too. Is they assume people know
Right.
what's going on.
Yeah.
And any good movie you've seen, all the information that you need is there.
Right.
Like take Shutter Island. Now I read the book.
Great movie.
Yeah, the book. And honestly, I haven't actually
But
finished
that's
watching the whole movie.
different. That's different. You need mystery in that movie.
Yeah, but all movies need a little mystery.
Right.
Don't lay it all out for me.
Right.
Give me something to look forward
Right.
to. Like, honestly, I was embarrassed watching the first X-Men movie when they had the whole scene where they just had Professor X introducing each of the characters.
But with
and,
Shutter Island, they tied it up. In X-Men, they didn't for me.
yeah,
And there was no
nothing
introduction.
to tie up.
There was no real introduction for me.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but there was no character development. I was like, I'm supposed to assume who these people are?
Yeah, you should have watched the cartoon before,
Right.
or read the comics, or
Yeah,
something.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, characters, whatever. You can learn their names through an introduction or something like that. I guess that's fine. But, like, I don't know. It's almost like, this is Cyclops. He shoots beams out of his
Right.
eyes, and he's the leader of my little group.
Yeah, and then?
And this is, he also goes by the name of Scott Summers, in case you didn't know. And,
Yeah.
and that's like,
That's what I was saying. There's so many characters. How do you... I mean, it has to be even hard for the director or the writer to even, like,
Except it's been done.
For a movie.
But it gets done all the time. Good movies are made. Where, I gotta say, like, Inception, that was a great movie. I don't remember any of those characters' names.
No.
At all. But the names are not important. It's what they did in the movie that matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's for sure.
And that movie blew my mind.
That's actually pretty interesting. You put it that way.
Yeah.
No, seriously. Inception was amazing.
Mm-hmm. I need to watch it.
And it wasn't even about the characters. It was about the story itself.
Exactly.
Which is different from other... That's interesting, actually. That's weird.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I just thought about that. It's like, click.
that.
Because it wasn't. It was about the story itself.
Yeah.
Which it makes it even more... Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but there are movies like that where it's more about the story than it is about the characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, here's another one. Lawrence of Arabia. You ever watch the movie?
No, I haven't.
All right. It's Peter O'Toole.
Right.
He's amazing.
Right.
And the movie's about, what's his name? T.E. Lawrence or whatever his name is. A real person. And the movie's basically about him, but without all the things that he was doing and all the things that were going on around him, it wouldn't have been an interesting movie. If it was just about, he seemed like he would have been an interesting person, but if the movie really was just about, if it was all about just showing us, man, how do I describe this? Because, I mean, this is what happens anyway. You learn about you learn about him and his motivations, the way he goes about things as the movie goes on.
Right.
You discover...
That's character development.
Yeah, you discover the ways that he's brave, the way that he's cowardly, the way that he's arrogant,
Right.
the way that he's humble, all these different things. And he was a very complex character. And you get all that by watching the movie
Right.
and seeing him do the things that he did, and you learn about him that way.
And that's impressive. And how like 2 hours?
That was actually really long.
Well, Lawrence.
It was on 2 tapes. I'll tell you
so
that.
4
So
hours.
it was a long movie.
Well, still, that's still impressive to like
Yeah.
see
Well, I
somebody like have somebody like instead of like I said,
Yeah.
like see somebody's like character development. Well, whether it's like usually through a series,
Yeah.
like a TV series, or the inner monologue, or the narration.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's the thing about like those epic movies like that. They have the luxury of taking their time to do
Right.
these things, and by the end, you feel like you know that person intimately.
Right.
And that's the thing that TV shows have the luxury of doing, and it's also that's the reason that, especially with how much money, studios and things can make off of TV shows now, and the kind of money that the actors, the budgets that they have to pay actors and everything. I personally would prefer it if from now on, books and comics and everything like that, they didn't just make movies, just make them into TV shows.
Right.
You have your choice of networks to pull off for whatever content you want to have.
Right.
So it's not like you're never going to be stymied by anything, like any, if you want to have your character, beat somebody bloody, you can do that if you pick the network that
Well,
you
I
need
think
to
that's
put
the
it on.
problem. I mean, look at like The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Okay, you take that and compress. Let's say you could take that and compress it into a movie, and you're gonna make, let's say, $1 billion,
Yeah.
right? Compared
Really?
to, I'm just throwing a
All right.
number out there. Compared to a couple $1 billion, because people are gonna watch you weekly,
Yeah.
and not only weekly, but they're gonna sit there and you're like, you throw out the cliffhangers and all that kind of stuff, and then the merchandise and all that kind of stuff.
You do have much better merchandising opportunities with TV shows.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause it's-
except for, if it's like comics and sci-fi movies, obviously, like Star Wars has done great with their toys and stuff back in the day, as did Superman and all that.
That's so. I mean,
Yeah.
to me, that's so different. That's like an anomaly.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. I mean, there's not many times that you like walk up with that kind of thing.
Yeah, for
I
whatever
mean,
else.
name something else that's like so consistent besides Star Wars
Yeah.
as
Well,
far as that merchandising.
Yeah, okay. I'm like, because as far whatever you can say about George Lucas as a storyteller, he was a brilliant entrepreneur.
Yeah, but as far as like merchandising, like
Walt Disney's
something
the
that's
other one.
consistent for like what 30 years.
Yeah. But really, go back. It's got to be the precursor to that. Has got to be Walt Disney with the empire that he built on merchandise
Yeah.
and on
which
cartoons.
which it has nothing to do with. Well, I shouldn't say nothing to do with, but like that's pop culture, which Star Wars is total media. If
Yeah.
I can separate that,
Maybe. I mean, Star Wars is kind of pop culture now. I mean, it's pop culture.
But like Disney's like Mickey Mouse. That like
Yeah, but that
transcends everything.
Right, but that didn't happen accidentally. Like, he made that happen.
I'm not
I mean, he
Okay, all right.
he got it's the he got. I will say on any level there, anytime anything like this happens, the person involved in the creation is getting lucky by having come up with something that people love.
Yeah.
So he had that going for him, but he did take it to these big levels that nobody had done anything like that before.
And now he's frozen.
Right. Is that true, you think?
Could be.
Huh.
Cryogenics?
I don't know. Would have been interesting. I don't know. Well, yeah. You remember, Salvador Dalí, right? The artist. He did the paintings of like the melting clocks and stuff like that.
No.
We've looked at some of this stuff.
I've seen it, but
Yeah.
I didn't know his name.
I mean, I know you didn't know him personally, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, actually, we were talking about that.
Yeah,
Which
a couple months ago or whatever.
Yeah, that's
Yeah. Well, and you and I both discovered some stuff of his that we didn't even know he had done.
right.
Because we started looking him up and checking out a bunch of stuff. But he was, him and Walt Disney were friends. And, like, were working on, like, they were going to make some animated project together. And I guess it never happened. But that would have been fascinating. To see, like, this genius surrealist, what he does with this genius animator.
Right.
Like, I don't know what they would have come up with. I can't even begin to imagine or try to say anything interesting about it beyond I think it would be cool. But that would have been neat.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's as good a spot to stop as any. So, did we leave any loose ends? I know people hate it when we leave those loose ends. I think we covered everything.
I think so.
All right. All right, well, you've been listening to the Dan and Dave Mindset. My name's Dan.
I'm Dave. Peace.